students out and put them on my Jeep, you know, and finally I just started taking them and putting them on other people's. It's like spreading the wealth there.
I was excited the first time. I still get excited.
All right, let's say a prayer. Pray with me. Lord, thank you for allowing us to gather here this evening. We ask that you bless and watch over us. We ask that you watch over our decisions tonight, that our decisions glorify your name. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, looking over the work session, starting from the top. Mark, the DOT no cost letter, tell us about that.
All right, this is just one of the other projects that DOT has going on right now, and then they need a letter from us that states that we're paying for the work to be done and move water lines when it is time for that. So they just need this for their package.
This one will require easement, and we have what we need.
That Lamar did not tell me, but I will follow back up with him on it.
Start negotiating those.
Yeah, because they went out, Turnip Seed went out to do Hazel Creek Bridge. They were out there a week ago Monday, working on those lines with Brian, and they walked them all and staked them, and so we should be getting something fairly soon on that.
When is that project looking like it's gonna let for?
They haven't given us any indication on that one, because this is just early on, them just covering themselves with these letters and knowing on their bids and so forth.
Okay. And really the purpose of this is to have our guys do it instead of them do it and send us a bill.
Correct. Because there'd be other additional costs, obviously, in general public, private entities out there bidding on these jobs. So we can save a lot of money, just with our own material and labor.
We've talked about this like in the past, a year or two ago. I mean, do we have to vote on this?
I think we just brought it up probably 2 months ago for the Hazel Creek Bridge, and I think it was just a matter of fact, is the way I see this.
Yeah, I think that it's just an administrative matter, and I think y'all need to be aware, because if we have to acquire easement, then we may require use of eminent domain if we have to. I mean, that can occur.
I own the property on the corner.
It's gonna be a real problem.
Be real? Yeah.
Just go ahead and start that in.
I'll have that position next month for you.
All right. Any other further discussion about the no cost letter? Let's move forward to the Habersham Partnership for Growth at EDC. This was a commitment back when I was on city council years ago after Archway, and I know that I've talked about this over the years when I was not here, but it's been a great organization to Habersham, and we see a lot of benefit to it. Our pledge is $5,000, as we discovered last year. What was some of the other municipalities they were?
Both Cornelia and Clarksville were higher amounts. You know, we were the same amount as Baldwin, but they've decided not to be a part of this anymore. And I think the other cities are probably lower amounts.
Yeah.
So it's kind of commiserate with our size in comparison to our commitment is what we found last year.
That's right. Is there any other further discussion about that?
Can you relate again what they provide
Yeah.
for us, what their purpose is?
So they're a partnership with local government and different other companies, for-profit companies in town. And they look at building our county from partnerships with each municipality, with the governments, and working together couple of things that's come out of it is the water work group and what's the one you've been going to, Mark? What's that one called?
HC3.
What have y'all been talking about in that meeting?
Well, a lot of a collaboration, explanations of what services each different city provides, whether we were talking the month of April about water and sewer, and what's our capacities and things of that sort. So, but strictly from what I see it as is an economic development engine. That's that's what I see Charlie and those guys all working on, trying to see what they can bring in, who they can bring in, and get them to look at some projects. And it can be something as small as a Dollar General type retail, or something much larger in different areas for economic growth. But that's strictly what I see them as.
We also work with our career technical education at Abersham Central. They meet a lot with them, talking about jobs that are up and coming. How can we train our students to take those jobs, drive people, inform people, about pay and benefits and things like that they would not know about. And so it's a beneficial thing as far as our community as a whole is concerned.
And since we do have the water system for almost the whole county is economic engine.
Our interests lie beyond just the city limits of Demorest.
That's right. Any more discussion about that?
And we'll take a vote on that.
What's that?
We'll take a vote on that.
Yeah. Next is consideration of Little Falls water rate. I think we've talked about this before. We always hate to go up on water rates, whether that's on our customers or on the municipalities we supply. But right now, we're losing a little money selling to Little Falls, so we have to go up just to make sure that we're covering our costs on that.
We're passing the same amount that we're purchasing the water to them, correct?
Correct.
So we're not making any money off of Little Falls,
Mhm.
but we don't want to lose any money.
Correct.
So we got to raise what we're buying for.
Just out of courtesy, Mark, did you reach out to the mayor?
I've got his voicemail. I saw him at the HC3 meeting last week or two, and he said he was gonna call me back, but he hasn't.
Okay. Good.
So he's aware, and obviously they will get a letter and so forth. But we also discussed it when we met up there that day.
Okay.
With some of those numbers.
Andrew, you okay? Can you hear us?
I'm good, yeah.
All right. Just start waving your hands if you're not. Okay.
Jerry,
Okay.
there is a difference in price between Tallulah and Tacoma. So it's not a price for price.
Right.
Because we have operating costs.
Which our operating costs, we're not making money.
Yes.
Because our operating.
I'm not trying to say we're making money,
Yeah.
but it's not the same price as what
No.
Tacoma is
It's just
charging
covering
us.
our operating costs. Yeah, that's right.
Correct.
Understood.
All right. And that's effective on July the 1st?
Yes.
And the city will automatically start billing them on July the 1st for this new rate?
That's where we're
Is
going.
that how that works?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, what'd you say?
The city will automatically start billing for that on July the 1st?
Yes.
Okay. Weapons upgrade. You got something you wanna talk about this?
Yes, our current weapons, our primary weapons and our backup weapons, we purchased those around 2016, which are about 6 or 7 years old. We would like to use some drug seizure money to upgrade our weapons and then allow the officers to buy back their weapons. With these new weapons, I'm asking if we can purchase the MOS sights. They're modular optic sights that go. There's a picture in your packet there. These optics they allow for better accuracy at short range, long range distance. Target transition if you're if you're transitioning from one target to the other, it's a lot better, and your sight acquisition. Normally with a firearm, you line up your two back sights with the front sight. That's how this optic, wherever that optic is at, that's where you're going to shoot at. So, that saves, seconds, and, in our line of work, those seconds can be life and death, so.
How did you determine the buyback amount?
That's standard. That's what it would be if we traded them in. But a lot of agencies allow their officers to buy back their weapons since they were, their own weapons that they used on duty. So,
Council, y'all may remember we had talked about using some of the drug seizure money to purchase the additional car. So go ahead and expand on
yes,
that, please.
we've moved our officer that was at the hospital to the water department. So we were going to upgrade his vehicle, but since it'll probably be possibly 2 to 3 years before we would have to visit that. So we're currently not going to use those funds to upgrade our vehicle at this point. So
Just in case y'all were thinking something about that,
Yes.
just for new restate.
and currently we have $17,506 in the city fund. So I'm asking for $10,000 total for the weapons, the optics, gun-mounted flashlights, new holsters, and then we would, the officers allowed to buy back their weapons. That would be $3,500 off of that we would put back in the seizure account. So it would end up being a total of $6,500 when everything's said and done.
What guns do you carry now?
9mm Glock. We would just be upgrading to the next. These are Generation 4. They have Generation 5 now. So the weapons that we have now, if we're able to purchase these new weapons, there's a transition course that we have to go through. It's maybe 2 or 3 days, but I can teach that. So after we get the new weapons in, get everybody transferred over, then we would surplus the weapons that we have now. And that I would just need to get Thomas we spoke about that earlier, just get him the serial numbers, and he would do a resolution and vote on that later at some later point.
And the current weapons that were purchased 7 years ago in 2016?
Yes.
I remember that. All right. Any other further discussion about the weapons? Anybody want to try them out first?
They have, I will tell you also that the SROs, Haversham, they have them, and their range officer said it's, their scores have, improved tremendously.
Because of that laser.
Yes. Alto Police Department uses them, and Baldwin. The Sheriff's Office, they're talking about trying to transition everybody over now. But the officers in the schools, they have them already. They've had a lot of success with them.
Success.
Well, success. That's target practice, not real life. Yeah.
I've been missing anybody.
Targets.
Alright, now it's a good time to transition into the opioid fund.
Thanks to Chief Crockett's generosity on giving me his share of these funds. I would like to use the $6,600 of it to upgrade 2 sets of turnout gear. The remainder of that I would pay for it would come out of our budget. Roughly a full set of turnout gear for one individual was $5,000. So this would greatly help and buy and upgrade 2 sets this year.
We should start seeing some more of that opioid money too. Megan, has there been any more deposits into that account, or is it just one time?
There hasn't been
Yeah.
this one time.
That other settlement we signed, do you know what it is?
We're gonna find out how it is.
Okay.
And of course, this is on the chart of a use is first responders. So the 3 of us discussed it, and Chief just thought that we could get the Jonathan Fire to use out of what he needed for his guys.
So you're gonna immediately, purchase these
Yes,
if we vote for, okay. Get a big one, yours is the only one that I can wear.
And Jonathan, if you had to fit a fireman from head to toe,
head to toe would be 5,000. 4,000 of it is the coat pants, and another 1,000 is gloves, hood, boots, and a helmet. Mine's an air pack, which is another 8,000 to 12,000.
Alright, any discussion on the use of the opioid funds? Alright, adopting Juneteenth. There's a little discussion about this, but we had this conversation last year.
we had it early, we've had it since I've been here, yes, but we didn't vote to make a change to the handbook. So this is
I
a
think we
change.
voted to adopt all
Federal?
federal holidays.
We discussed it, but then we said we'd revisit it.
Okay.
I went back and looked at the minutes and it
Okay.
said we would discuss it.
And if you look at our holiday list that's in here, we have all the federal holidays, plus feds they don't do Good Friday, they don't do Good Friday. And if we adopted this, because there is a page in here, which is from the U.S. Office of Personnel Management, it lists all their days. It also says if the holiday falls on a Saturday, you take it off on a Friday. If it falls on a Sunday, you take it off on that Monday.
If we adopt the federal holidays, we have to revisit this in the future if the feds add another holiday or make changes.
No, if we adopt federal holidays plus Good Friday, then it would just follow the feds policy.
Well, Good Friday, day after Thanksgiving, and Christmas Eve is not listed on there. So
We have those as a, yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point.
those are just, I guess you'd say, civic holidays.
Yes. So really, we have, like I said, we have three.
May just be easier just to adopt Juneteenth.
Well, I mean, then what happens? If they make a change to something. I mean, it'd have to come back before council. I think we just go ahead and say that we adopt the federal holidays, in my opinion.
Part of your motion is what you're saying to change it in the handbook going forward. So,
Plus the additions of the.
Yeah, plus one that we're observing.
Okay.
So, what do y'all think about that?
I feel like either way, whoever is here at that time is probably gonna bring it back to y'all again. I mean, cause no one's here at that time.
You put a notice
In the handbook?
In the handbook that we're adopting, that we,
All of them.
all federal holidays.
We make that note then, I think.
What do y'all think, John and I? Federal holidays, rather than just
I agree.
adding any specific one?
Yeah, because then every time they make a change, we've got to have a vote.
Well, I mean, it takes,
But is that lock us in if they, well,
I mean, you can change your policy anytime.
okay.
yeah. So, we'll need to change, amend the agenda, I guess, and change the wording on that.
Yeah, to adopt.
Federal holiday.
Yeah.
Could I, Jim, could I get a little input into public safety?
Please.
We had talked about this before Mark had got here before. If the city recognizes a holiday, if it's on the weekend, they recognize on the Friday or the Monday after. But public safety, we're not able to do that, so we would like, to know what the pleasure of the mayor and council would be. If you recognize on Friday and Monday, but our guy works, say like Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, if it fell on Saturday and Sunday, they wouldn't receive holiday pay because the city recognizes it on Friday and
Yeah,
Monday.
I
So
think we've talked about this before too.
we talked about it, I don't know if we ever,
Yeah.
I knew we were doing a lot of changes to the handbook, and that was kind of,
Or Easter. Officer works on Sunday, they ain't getting.
right, because it's regular Friday. I mean,
Yeah.
It was discussed, but
Yeah.
there was no decisions made.
yeah.
Will y'all put together some recommendation?
Yeah.
Y'all have a recommendation?
I mean, I don't know about it.
Jonathan has given me, we've got some, and,
If we-
I apologize to you two, this didn't come up
Well, that's,
in discussing this, and so I missed that.
there's a lot of changes that we were gonna look at. But,
Yes,
you know, if there could be maybe an exception that, you know, you have this policy, but with exception public safety, you recognize it on the holiday itself. No more or less than other city employees. I don't know if that would be, you know, if it fell on Saturday and Sunday, we would recognize it public safety on those days. But
The actual date itself?
yes, I don't know if that's a good solution, or if you have any other suggestions.
Oh. I think that suggestion needs to come from you. I think that's outside of there.
I have that information, Mark. I have that information from Rob, and I can share it with you.
okay.
I think I've seen a policy where it says that any city employee, so it would include public works, anybody that's required to work on a holiday, it's time and a half. And so that's how they handle it.
Yeah, and I think that's what we had talked about in the past, so we're thinking of that.
Would that work?
That would be fine.
That's how we do it at the hospital too.
If one of ours was if the employee was off already, you know what I'm saying? Say they were off on Friday or Monday, but everyone else in the city got to take off those days. I think that was one of the questions that we had to.
So it was discussed, but it was kind of grouped in with us working on the handbook, and the handbook is
Right.
not done yet.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of why I believe there's not been a decision,
Okay.
and
So
that's in the works.
We'll work on that.
Okay, continue in that discussion.
So until that is brought up, going forward, do you want us to continue
We
as
just-
we
yeah.
do it? Just continue like we
Well, I
are?
don't think we're making any decisions about that right now.
So continue as we are.
Then Andrew froze.
Enjoying that.
Been drinking it for a long time.
It's like a commercial. Amendments, Thomas, do you want to talk about the first reading of what we have in front of us?
Yeah, the last year, the legislature, in 2022, the legislature adopted amendments to the zoning procedure law. Went into effect last July. There was a hope by a lot of land use and local government attorneys that there would be changes to that law this session, and there was not. So most cities and counties are now scrambling to get these in place by July 1. I've essentially done the minimum necessary, because I know we're gonna look at your planning, your land use ordinance, so I did basically the minimum necessary to bring it into compliance. And one's a recommendation, and that's that we change our conditional use to special use, because under the previous law in Georgia Supreme Court authority going back 30 years, the courts had treated special uses and conditional uses the same. With the change in the law, they have now been definitionally separated. And the difference that is probably important to you all is that conditional uses are considered what's called quasi-judicial, which means you all don't have as much discretion to deny it. Basically, if they meet the requirements, then they get the conditional use. Special uses continue to be legislative, and you have the same legislative discretion to adopt them, and then there are differences in how they get to court if they go to court. So, in your ordinance, what is called conditional uses, under the new law, y'all mean special use, and so that's why I made the change or I've recommended the change that I've recommended. So, and then everything else has to do with hearings and the time for advertising and all that kind of stuff. Does anybody have any questions or want me to explain anything?
Second page, the four different classes. Like right now, our definitions, we have 4 different classes. One's historic district, correct?
That's a separate, that's not, for whatever reason, that was never included in this chart. The historic district is a separate
Okay.
entity.
But right now, do we have sensitive land?
I don't know if you do or not.
Okay, I don't think we do.
I don't know if you do or not. The historic district's a little bit, you can do whatever the zoning allows in the historic district. It's just if you're going to, the exterior changes to a structure, you've gotta go to the Historic Preservation Commission to get a certificate of appropriateness.
Okay.
So, that's our next discussion.
What's sensitive? What's the definition of it?
I don't know.
It has to do, a lot of mountain jurisdictions have something, and it has to do with the, coast. So,
Oh, yeah. And I got
if you,
my county, Ranger County's mountain.
25%, of a grade, there are certain things you can and can't do, I believe, I'll look it up.
Kind of preserve the beauty of the
Well,
landscape.
if you start stripping land that's got that kind of topo, you can create more problems.
Oh,
Plus, there may be very little benefit to do anything, because it's not like you can run a drive straight into that piece of property, you kinda gotta switch packets to get it up there. So I think the purpose was the council at the time they adopted it, wanted to be able to take a closer look at people who use land that met that definition. So I'll look up and pay you what the actual definition that is for before you send it.
Okay, thank you. Alright, moving on to the Historic Preservation Commission.
You all have a historic preservation district. I had maybe send me the ordinance, it was apparently properly, everything was advertised, all the property owners got notice, and so you all created a historic district according to state law. If you have one of those, you need a historic preservation commission, because otherwise there's certain things people can't do with their property if they don't get that certificate, a COA from the commission. So apparently need to populate our commission.
Is there, requirements that they have to live in the, or operate business in the historic district?
I think they just have to live in the city limits.
In the city?
I don't think they have to live in the district.
And these are all mayor appointed, council ratified.
I believe that's correct on this one.
Really?
So it says.
Well,
Alright, I love y'all so.
For instance, Athens has, I think, 20 different historic districts, so there's no way they could put one person from every district on their commission.
Also, we need 3 members, so y'all think about that, and let's come back with 3 members. Mayor appointments. Well, I need y'all's help.
That would be on the section like that.
Do you live in a resort considered
Yeah, John, I both of them.
good stocks there?
Yes, I'll sign.
Stop sign.
They have to be residents, and they have to have demonstrated special interest, experience, or education in history, architecture, or the preservation of historic resources.
Okay.
At least,
Or will.
to the extent available in the city, at least 3 members should be appointed from among professionals in the disciplines of architecture, history, architectural history, planning, archaeology, and related professions.
Awesome. Good luck with that, Mayor. Alright. Megan, will you put that on the agenda for next month?
I can check state law and see if you can appoint folks who either work in or own property in the city, because the work in would be the one that I was thinking of might be the most relevant, because there may be a couple folks that are on faculty at Piedmont that fit the bill. So I'll check state law when we're looking at that.
Next is consideration for bank account signers. Megan, you've been involved in this most of the time. Just the hoops we gotta go through this every time. Do you wanna explain that?
Yeah, I was wanting to add Mark as a signer. In the past, the city manager has always been a signer. It was the city manager and Sean, and then the mayor was backup. So I wanted to ask you all to add him as a signer. And then when speaking with Kelly about changing signers, she recommended adding an administrator to kind of help with the backside, like if there's any changes as signers or needing online access, which Mark is needing, that administrator would be able to do that. So I was interested in being that administrator if you all would allow that.
I think it makes sense. So what accounts would that not apply to? Because we voted, previously, like the park committee, I think we got enough signers for that, and what was the other one?
So mostly our water and general account.
Yeah, but we voted like, that was the last month or 2 months
Oh,
ago.
to add,
Well, yeah, to add, so it's like park committee, I think has enough signers
and then the fines, the seizure account, which that's with Raven County Bank, so that would be different. So it would mostly just be our everyday accounts on UCB, just the water and the general, SPOS.
Opioid.
Opioid is also with Raven County.
Mm-hmm.
Raven County has, or Traditions Bank, whichever, has the opioid, the seizure, and our loan.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
which,
then everything else is UCB.
And it is our commitment to them as far as loan like part of the loan to transfer our bank accounts to them.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Mm.
Okay. Well, then that may change things.
so we need to push this off then?
Probably.
No, we need to,
Yeah.
we need to go ahead and vote to change the standards, but
At least having
we need
those
to figure out what
names.
we need to do to transfer some of our operating accounts over to them, because that was one of
So
our,
it really has nothing to do with her being the administrator and him being a signer. It would be where they are administrating and signing from.
correct.
And why we wanna change right now? If we're just gonna change the accounts, and have to do
It
something.
might be taking a couple of months. I don't know how long that takes, and
I don't know.
it's one of those things, we have to leave the account open for a long time because of sweeps and direct deposits.
Yeah, well, it'll probably have to be brought back on the agenda to be able to transfer all of it. I'll have to look into that. I didn't realize that was the case.
It was part of the deal at that low interest rate that we got.
Okay.
So what exact accounts, so if we make a motion for this, what exact accounts are we doing this for?
Does it need to be exact or can it just be a
Can we-
plus?
Yeah, could we do adding me as an administrator on all of them, and then a signer being on water in general? I don't know if you could be across the board as well to add him as a signer. But water, general, cemetery, SPOS.
Opioid.
Yeah, we can go ahead and do the opioid as well, and just do it a different bank.
DDA?
DBA.
Are you signing for the DDA? Well, I guess you're on the DDA.
Lawrence is
They need to
a
have their own.
signer, and
We don't need to vote on the
are you
DDA.
one? I think Donnie's a signer. Lawrence and Donnie, I believe, are signers for DDA.
Yeah, cause I don't think I've ever signed anything. So that's a part DDA outside of, those are the only two outside of.
Outside of the usuals, yes.
Okay.
All right. Any other further discussion about bank account signers? How many times have we talked about bank account signers?
You'll be happy.
What? What other discussion? Do we have time to go in the executive session and go into it while we're doing that? Do it. Yeah.
Don't wait for Jimmy's.
It is.
We just do it on that one, so we go straight. What time is it? Let's just do it on that one.
Okay, on the next one. Well, is there anything else you want to take a moment to talk about since we are in a work session?
State law does not appear to require that the commission members be residents of the city.
Oh.
We have to make it allow for others, but we can do that if you all like, but it kind of open up.
So can we do that tonight?
We can do a first read tonight, that's a zoning, that's another change in land use ordinance, we'll have to advertise and have a hearing for next month, but you all can sort of do a first read tonight.
How necessary, or how, I mean, what's the necessity of pushing quickly to fill this now? I mean, can it wait if we?
I mean, it looks like it's been a while since you've had one, you haven't, there's no, I mean, I think what, reading between the lines, I think Councilmember Hendrick's concern was, you're fixing about to have 2 new properties in that area, and something's gonna happen on that property, the former city hall and former post office, so we need to have a commission in place to be ready to.
And also, there may be some education that would be helpful for anyone that has to make decisions along those lines.
What do you think?
If there's any GMI courses.
Well,
Yeah, to get with that.
I mean, what do you think about postponing it or now?
I don't see, it's been all the years we hadn't had one, so I don't see any urgency.
When we get like a broader
I mean,
group,
time.
if we don't have to have this thing in the
It's
city.
gonna take time to do that, does that?
It's gonna take 2 months, you ought to have, because of the change in land use ordinance, it's an ordinance that's gonna take 2 reads.
Yeah.
Secondly, because it's changed your land use ordinance, you gotta advertise for public hearing at least 15 and more than 45
So why
days.
wouldn't we go ahead and get the ball rolling?
That's what we're discussing, sure.
Yeah.
And why not just go ahead and open it up and start reading for the broad population into it, so we're not.
So the easy change, all you're really gonna have to do is strike the requirement that it be maybe residents.
Do we need to change the agenda for that?
You'll amend the agenda when you're in there.
What are we gonna do that to?
You can do a first reading on the historic preservation ordinance.
Can we just leave that as the same number?
I think I'll do it.
Kids can.
Yeah,
Land
you're
use ordinance.
not gonna appoint any members tonight, so you maybe make that first reading change.
Oops.
I don't know if you've all ever done a sensitive land definition in here. It's basically coastal, flood potential, wetlands, unstable soils. You're supposed to use the HUD flood hazard map, Demorest coastal map, and soil survey for Habitat County to determine whether you got sensitive land.
Yeah.
Is that even on here? I don't see it. It's
No,
not.
I just dropped it on number 12, just be close to it, so.
No, it's not on there. I thought we would only be discussing it, so I didn't even put it on there.
Mr. Mayor, on another topic, I don't know if y'all have ever seen the cemetery map of the grave sites and so forth.
Let's see the updated version.
It's about a 6x6 page, just been folded like you would fold a map when we were all kids. Now it tears, and it's in horrible, scary shape. Not that anybody's done anything wrong, it's just been folded, and hand drawn on there. And we think it's something we'll need to address, some type of digital process for this.
So, years ago, when I was, like, first year I was on council, now you remember that? We got it mapped.
Yeah.
We hired some company to come up and map it and digitize it,
Really?
but at the time, our city manager couldn't figure it out, so they just kept using the paper copy. But, I mean, every grave was mapped, every
Yeah,
unmarked grave was mapped, like they drug things across the ground.
yeah, like some,
So there's
Yeah.
a database somewhere.
So what year would you guess y'all are talking about?
I don't.
Yeah, that's news to me, and that would be nice. Can we?
Because it's scary if something happened to this piece of paper.
If we've not had that done before, I mean, that sounds like something we need to do.
And we definitely need someone to come out and probe every area out there.
Well, it sounds like they,
We did this sonar,
Yeah,
where
they-
they went over it and like you could see
so,
the great.
so you just have to add what's been
Done since.
done since then to it.
So we think in 2017?
I have no idea, I mean, when were we elected? When was that?
I was joking.
I have no idea. Like, I don't feel like it's too long after.
No, I don't
In this
It had to
one?
be in the first 2 years.
You think it's Christie?
No.
It's, we would have to be in like minutes, right?
Yeah, it would have to be.
Gonna have to pour over.
It was in our first 2 years.
We'll look and see what years you two were elected originally, and then
Yeah,
we'll
figure that.
go from there.
Yeah. I came in 16,
Yeah.
and I think Donnie was already off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you gonna go back to?
Yeah, because when I got here, it was Moore, your dad, John Poplin, and Florence. That was January 16th. So
You know, we probably Google when y'all were elected.
Oh,
I'm sure all that's still alive. I don't know.
It's harder to figure out that way than you might think.
I'm asking my wife.
Hey, so on another topic of discussion, I've had several folks reach out about using the space at the gym and using it as our community and doing different things and wanting like a sign up for days to have like volleyball match or have like their kids go over there and play. I love the idea since we got the 2 cameras in there, being able to leave it open and let the community use it. Maybe give the police officers a key to lock it at 10 o'clock or something. Does anybody have any consensus or opinions on that?
they had asked over the weekend, the ones that were cleaning up, they said they used the sun in the rain when it was raining to go in and practice, that the church had let them use it at times. So
One thing we did do today was we added 2 basketball goals inside the gym that were missing. And then we went ahead while we were working on that, we replaced the 2 broken rims in the park.
Oh,
Oh, good.
And when they
something
replaced.
broken since I was in 6th grade.
And so Brian, and when Brent and another gentleman, they put all 4 of those up. And so that was done. And, we actually got to maybe check the price to see if we wanted to reinstall the swings over there in the park.
Yeah.
Because we've got the base sitting there and it's sturdy as heck. And basically it was $76 a section, and we need 10 sections, if that's something y'all want. And they could,
Well, I was talking to Megan, I think we lost Andrew.
yeah,
We must hit the 60-minute mark.
because that'd be simple to do, to have that as an option. Because the goals are up, the gym's up, the bathroom should be finished.
What's everybody's consensus on us being able to do that, leave the gym open? What do y'all think about
When we bought it for the public
Yeah.
to use, I just, they have to agree to clean up. And one thing that I always worry about the gym is bathrooms
Yeah.
is not usable.
They are.
that? Oh, they
We
are.
have Carlton, Clinton, not Carlton. Clinton's been in there. He was in there Thursday and Friday of last week, replaced the tiles, took the toilets apart, rebuilt them, put the new seals. urinals, everything's all flushing. He is, filled the holes in the blocks, new toilet paper holders, and he's just gotta finish painting
Replace tiles.
and replace a couple of the tiles. And then, just do an overall cleanup. And he'll be back in there tomorrow.
So people would have to ask to use it, like.
I mean, I don't even think it needs, I think there should be a sign up, like at the park. I think there should be a sign up, like if somebody had something they wanted to do, they could reserve it.
Yeah.
But I also think that it needs to be open.
And our liability issues, like if you're running around and you slip on some coke or something, you fall, break your wrist or
Mhm.
something, so how is the city responsible? How are we gonna handle that?
It needs to be, we need to tell the insurer they have it, but as long as you're not charging for it, it's what's called recreational property, and there's immunity. We just need to post some signage that basically says, this is recreational property, and you claim that you're on this.
They have to, I mean,
Probably
if any
knows
groups
most
come, they need to
Yeah.
agree to clean up
Oh,
after
of course.
It's a
themselves.
little
Yeah.
less likely to come to the park, but yeah, we probably never put it up there. Cause y'all put it in more use once bathrooms back up.
Is everybody okay with that? Like, I'd love to see it open.
I mean, does City Hall can unlock the door in the mornings, once he kinda gets out there that this is happening. And then one of the officers just comes by.
Or would there be a way to do a timer, like at City Hall?
Yeah.
Like it's open from a certain time to a certain time?
I think so, but those timers are pretty expensive, and I think there's a nice little oversight of having your guys pick in there and make sure something's just not destroyed, so we can look back at the cameras.
And Brian, while we're talking about this, we looked at a plan for the water that's getting into the gym. Because if you can visualize standing in the parking lot on the backside of the gym, you got this little 3-foot wall, cinder block wall that runs and it gets taller as it gets to the stairs and so forth. It has been washed out on the asphalt side where the water is coming through there and it comes through the wall into this area. Is between the gym and the cinder block wall. And again, the wall is in such bad shape. That's part of the issue, because it's just eroded all the way down. And it's like a 15-foot section of that much of the gym, of that end of the gym, because that's where it's coming right under, because then you have the gutters coming down, and then you got some concrete about 3 feet, and then you got a sidewalk that's about 4 feet. Well, the water can't get it. He comes through this wall, goes across the sidewalk, and then gets next to the building, and it can't go anywhere but under.
So how much water, like, because when we had the yard sale going on, that was a good test, but it was pouring down.
He did.
So how far of infiltration did water get into it?
I would say 15 by 15 feet in that.
Was that pretty far?
Yeah, because Andrew was having to squeegee it out through there. Now, I will say, it has not happened since.
I was thinking we may have to not have it reopen, keep the right close it if we have downpours of weather like that.
That's when people would want to use it.
Can you, more concrete?
We're playing it in a bottle. This is number of.
I know, there's gonna be one in there.
That's
Just
right.
replace it, so-
Yeah, pull out the sidewalk. so the different strings.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, yeah.
That makes more sense.
That's true. Alright, anything else on y'all's minds?
I want to know how we'll find this digitized cemetery.
I don't know.
The vendor, I have a copy of it.
Well, who's the vendor?
I think it's George Mount Rick.
Yeah, they have a copy of it.
I reached out to Adam and see.
I'm pretty sure. Because I think I remember their logo.
I had a municipal cemetery where we had people in the wrong place. We had people that we weren't sure who was there. Good records are important in the cemetery.
Exactly.
Especially if you don't have a marker.
You don't want to have a roommate for a term.
And this was something that residents handled Sarah's just picks right up and let that flows.
How much do y'all charge for?
100.
And then the $25 filing fee,
How much is it?
$25 filing fee,
Okay.
$425.
This one was charging 1,000 5 years ago.
What do you need to consider, what's the capacity, you know what the capacity?
I bet I do when I get this digitized.
That's
Because
probably.
when I look at this map, it's like this section, there's nothing drawn in it here, and I'm like, well, is all that open space for this, or, I don't know. But that's
I
a
think
fair
it was like
question.
surveyed, and then they looked at adding lots back behind it, as wooded.
That would be.
They talked about clearing over the next few years. Knowing what the capacity is would help in knowing if we need to increase
Expand.
fees. I want to say it's a grant, I would understand it had something to do with that.
We had so many projects going at one time.
That was about the time Samuel made those
Car
cards.
here.
That said, wish you were here, put you in the graveyard.
Wish you were here with the graveyard on. Like, fully thought.
Wish you were